Bukes, we're going to start with you, my friend. A pitcher, $8,500 or more. Who do you like?
Yeah, giving us so many options to choose from on a 6-game slate. Thanks for setting the bar, well enough at 8,500 or above. So whatever. I guess I'll choose Sean Manaea going against the Brew Crew, who, they strike out a lot against lefties, 24.3% K rate against lefties. Manaea's been a little up and down this season, not the guy I think that the Padres were hoping for when they acquired him from the fire sale that was the Oakland Athletics, but he's been more than serviceable, has some really strong strikeout upside, and going against this club that is very poor against lefties overall and does provide some of that strikeout upside. I think at 9,700 for Manaea tonight is one of the better pitching options on this very small 6-game slate.
So that in mind, Erik, I guess I feel like I'm not giving you that many choices, but what do you have?
Yeah, there's 4 guys in this category, I think, and there may be only 2 if there's rain in that Angels-Yankees game, which looks like it might be coming as of this morning. I'd side Tony Gonsolin over Sean Manaea because Manaea's been a bit shaky lately, and I'm a little bit worried about that park there. Gonsolin at least gets to pitch in Dodger Stadium, gets a tough matchup against the Mets. I wouldn't be picking him, I don't think, on other slates. But Taijuan Walker on the other side, not a great season by anything other than ERA. His ERA is actually quite good, but doesn't look like it to remain that way, not really getting any strikeouts this season. And with the Dodgers lineup backing him, I think he has a decent shot at the win. Gonsolin's having a really strong season. 180 ERA isn't going to last, but the ERA estimator's in the mid-threes, striking out above average number of batters, a couple too many walks, but not way too many, and he's actually getting ground balls at a pretty high clip for the first time in his career. 6 innings pitched in 3 straight starts after averaging just 4.5 over his first 6 is also encouraging, and he's got 7 strikeouts in all 3 of those. So he's been pitching well. He's got good external factors to make up for the fact that he's got a pretty tough matchup here. So with limited choices, he's my top one.
So Gary, do you want to go with one of these guys that might get rained out, or you want to just flip a coin between the other 2?
No, I mean, those are clearly the 2 top options on this slate. I might lean Gonsolin just because he's a little cheaper. And the fact that as my fire alarm goes off.
Oh boy. Clear out. Get out.
I might lean Gonsolin.
This is just a hot take is what this is.
I guess, yeah. Really, just scorching hot take here.
Must roster tonight. Get him in.
Yeah, okay, I think it stopped. That's nice. As I regain my train of thought. I think Gonsolin might have a lower ownership just because people are afraid of the Mets. I think the numbers with Manaea are a little scary. In his last 6 starts, he's allowed at least 3 earned runs in each of his past 6 starts. However, that being said, we are looking at someone who's, rocking like a 13.5 swinging strike rate this season. Manaea has had strikeout numbers that we've never seen from him so far, so that's enticing. And also the Brewers, I mean, Steve alluded to this, but it's striking how different a team they are depending on the handedness of the starting pitcher. They have a 108 WRC plus when they are facing a righty. That drops to an 84 WRC plus when they are facing a lefty, which kind of makes sense. I mean, Colton Wong, Rowdy Tellez, Christian Yelich, all their best hitters are left-handed. And the guys who were supposed to be their lefty mashers, Willie Adames and Hunter Renfroe, are currently on the IL. So from a matchup perspective, I think you have to go with Manaea, but I do think he'll be higher owned. So I might lean Gonsolin.
Bukes, what level of dedication do you think Garion has to the show? Like if we start to see smoke coming up behind him, would he have turned into the dog in the "this is fine" meme? What would it, or would he just run for the door?
You would have to kill Garion to get him off this show.
I'm going down with this building so then I can haunt it because that's what it deserves.
Bukes, hitters 5K or over. Who do you have?
Yeah, let's go with Austin Riley, who has been absolutely crushing it at the plate, and he gets to play in Coors Field for a series. The Rockies desperately need Austin Gomber to go deep into this game because that bullpen yesterday against the Marlins combined for 7 2/3 innings and gave up 11 runs during the doubleheader that they played yesterday and last night. 9.2 average against lefties for Austin Riley in terms of DraftKings fantasy points. Going against lefties has been the matchup for him that you want to target with him. 444 WOBA, 321 isolated power, and a 184 WRC plus. He's absolutely crushing in this type of matchup. Over under for this game is set at 11.5. Unders have been the the name of the game so far this season. I think that game goes over today with the pitching matchup and all the bullpen guys they had to use for the Rockies yesterday. Give me Austin Riley in this matchup against Gomber.
Same to you, Mr. Halterman. Hitters 5K and up.
Yeah, I'm going to stick in that same lineup and go with Ozzy Albies right at 5K. Hasn't had a particularly good this season, but it's Ozzy Albies against lefty. You always like Ozzy Albies against lefty, even if it's not in Coors Field. Even this season, when he hasn't really been good against anybody, he's still striking out less than half of the time against southpaws compared to righties, just over 10% against lefties, just over 21% against right-handers. For his career, he's got a 94 WRC plus against righties, which is very unimpressive to say the least. That's 1 point better than Kurt Casale's career mark for reference there. And he's got 141 against lefties for his career, which is 1 point better than Ronald Acuna, who you may have heard of, is a pretty good hitter on that same Atlanta team. So whenever you get Albies against the lefty, you got to be interested. I don't think his poor start this season is enough, especially given that it's Coors Field here. I don't think that's enough to make me look elsewhere.
Garion, no visible flames. That's a good thing. Bring us a hot take here.
Not overly hot, especially if there's going to be a bunch of rain in New York. That would cool things down. I'm going to keep trying this until it can't happen. Like Aaron Judge against Reed Detmers is a hilariously terrible matchup for Reed Detmers. Steve and I, we got caught for hating on Detmers a couple of weeks ago. Just so happened it was the miracle game where he threw a no-hitter. Since then, he started 2 games. He's given up 8 earned runs and 4 home runs. He's not good. I don't care that he threw a no-hitter. And Aaron Judge, I don't understand the algorithm and placing him. Maybe he's the 4th or 5th most expensive outfielder. He should be the most expensive hitter on this slate. He leads baseball in barrel rate. He leads baseball in expected slugging percentage at 750. He has the highest expected WOBA against left-handed pitching, not just this season, but going back to like 2019. That's how much Aaron Judge crushes lefties. This is just a ridiculously bad matchup for Reed Detmers. I wanted it to happen last night. I'm crossing my fingers and hope it actually happens tonight. We'll see. But if this game gets going, you have to have Aaron Judge in the lineup.
No lack of options when it comes to value, Erik. Who do you like?
Let's go with Clint Frazier at 2,300. Hasn't gotten to play all that much this season. Been exactly a league average hitter in 34 plate appearances. But in 4 games since returning from appendicitis, which, if anybody needed another strange medical malady, it was definitely Clint Frazier. He hasn't had it hard enough so far in his career. But in 4 games since his return, 3 for 7 with 3 walks and a steal. So he's been hitting well. He's been in the lineup against every lefty. So he should be there against Matthew Liberatore here, who is an interesting prospect, but not the tier prospect where you think he's going to immediately take over and be this pitcher you don't want to use anybody against. He's got 1 bad start and 1 good one so far. I don't know if there's enough about Frazier to say that he's definitely a strong hitter, but I think he's a competent one. Got a 110 WRC plus since the start of the 2020 season. That kind of hitter at 2,300, I think is a great deal, and I wouldn't pass it up here.
Garen, I see you scanning DFS options at value. Who do you like?
I'm going to go with Jesse Winker. At some point, I think it has to turn around. I mean, it has to, right? Mariners fans probably think they're cursed at this point, but Winker's expected WOBA is about 80 points higher than his actual WOBA. He's hitting the ball well. He's just not finding the holes right now. Still, the Mariners have been batting him leadoff against right-handed pitching in the last couple of weeks, so I think that's a huge boost to his value at $3,800. Also a boost to his value, the presence of Jordan Lyles, who has struggled immensely with left-handed bats so far this season. 511 slugging percentage, 382 WOBA to opposing left-handed bats. I'm just going to keep saying Jesse Winker is going to break out of this at some point. Hopefully it's tonight.
Bukes, bookend the segment.
Yeah, not guys in the bottom of the lineup is something I'm usually looking for, but Trent Grisham, since he's moved down in the order, feels like he's actually hitting better than when he was hitting leadoff, and he's got a good matchup tonight against Adrian Hauser. Obviously, we can't bank on a ton of at-bats against him because he's in the lower part of the order, but what I do like is that with men on base, Grisham is hitting like almost 300 in that scenario. So hitting that low in the order with how good the hitters are above him puts him in a good spot here. Hauser has not been good against lefties. So I think this is really an intriguing spot for someone who has some pretty poor numbers overall, but as of late has been hitting better, averaging 9 DraftKings fantasy points over his last 5 games. 2 of those games, 18 DraftKings fantasy points logged. So it's not usual that I'm going this low in the order, but Grisham's been hitting well, and he's in a good matchup tonight. So I think him at under that 3K range at 2,300 is a good spot for him tonight.